All right, what's up, everybody? Today, I'm going to be your host, Mike Tony, for Podcast Zero, episode number 4. Today, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're just going to be talking about one subject, and that subject is going to be character development. So, can our podcasters introduce themselves?
Hello, world. I'm Cameron Knight. I am a amateur manga creator, and I'm working on my first comic right now, Base. And you can find me at my Instagram handle, which is CKnight Comics.
Hi, I'm Danae Mendez. I have a comic that I'm working on classic.com. It's called That. And yeah, nice to meet you.
Hi, my name is Joshua. I'm a photographer and a writer, and you can find me on Instagram at Joshua.
Beautiful.
All right. Yep. So my name is Dorothy Blount. I'm the number 1 naughty kid on the list. Yeah. Wait, what else am I? Wait. I write Misfits in Toyland. Oh, that's my comic that's gonna come out to Passage pretty soon. Yeah.
Hello, everybody. It's me, Jay. I am under the account of Team Infinite. I am the writer and creator of Infinite the Journey. You can find any work involving Infinite or myself on the website of Infinite, which is www.infinitethejourney.com. Thanks for coming over and checking us out again, and we appreciate it.
Hey, I'm Antonio. I'm an artist. You could see some of my work if you're interested. You just have to Google Senor Antonio, and a whole bunch of my stuff will pop up. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Right now, I'm working on a project that you guys will see later on.
Hello, everybody. My name is Warren, the creator of the humble comic Dead Star, which you can find on Tapastic, and you can find me on my Facebook page at Road to PDS. And that is me.
And I'm Shingo Amito. You can find me pretty much everywhere on the internet. I am working currently on a novel called Brothers in Blood, which you can find on Wattpad if you're interested.
All right, nice. Since we've gotten those introductions out of the way and my completely screwed up opening, we're going to get into talking about how we develop our own characters. Each of us are kind of working on our own stories and on little personal accounts. And so I just kind of want to throw out there to you guys kind of, what do you guys do when you decide, you're creating your main character? What are the things you kind of look for? Where do you start your development? How do you feel like your character is really going to push the story and get the themes out it needs to? And I'm going to throw it at Joshua first to open up.
At me? Well,
Yep.
Themes, I think the most important thing for me is finding a theme first to fit my character and understanding where my character is going to go from one point to another point. Not necessarily where he'll end up ultimately, but from point A to point B, what happens to him during this time and how does that change who he is. And I think, like I said, to me that's the most important part of it. I think another important aspect is backstory and understanding where your character comes from. I don't think everyone needs to know your character backstory. You don't need to write a whole story, publish this whole book about it, but you need to understand, I think, what your character's been through before you can build a character based around that idea. So, I think, I'm trying to think of how to word this. I think that a character that fits a narrative is a good character, but I think a character that stands out and builds upon what he has been for a long time is a way better character. Because anyone can write a character to fit a story, but when you really understand a character and how this character works, I think that's a bit different of a character, a more livelier character. But, I mean...
Okay, that sounds good. Warren, tell us a little bit about your main character in Dead Star.
Oh, you want to know about that, kid? Well, that specifically, I wanted to get a point across that this boy was part of something involving ninjas. And I didn't want him to be... I want him to be basically the lowest tier of ninja. So I put him in a ripped garbage bag looking ninja outfit, and made him look dirty, make him look like he's been through some stuff and he's taking the hard path. So I wanted to show that just by what he wears. He wears nothing but ripped clothes and everything. And like even when designing like the facial features, like his eyes are very rounded, so to show that he has some sort of innocence, and stuff like that you got to look out for. And even with colors too.
Yo, when I create my characters, I do it the sheepy way. I base it on real life people that I know, either movie stars or actually family members or friends. So their main attitude, I already know how they are, how they will react to certain situations because I know the person they're based on. That's kind of sheep and whatnot, but that's how I create my characters.
No, that's a great idea, man. Using archetypes from your family or people around you.
Yeah, I do
I'm
the
gonna
same
start
thing with
using that.
Yeah,
yeah,
but
I do the
I
same thing.
can't even consider it archetypes because people have their tendencies, but people are more complex. I find it hard to actually put people in types when you actually know them really well because they're so diverse. But
Uh,
yeah, that's
That's a
I mean,
good
like, I use the same kind of like method, like Tony, like when it comes to like developing certain characters, because I feel like it's kind of easier to kind of start out by saying like, oh man, this person's gonna is kind of like my friend so and so, as far as like he has this aspect about himself, but that character doesn't have to be that person, like entirely. But that's what I do because it kind of helps me gets me going. It even sometimes influences how they may look or the body type that they may have based off of just people I've known, people I've seen. I constantly am on like different websites, especially like like Tumblr or whatever, like from people's outfits or whatever they might be wearing. Definitely influences how I design them and like what they're about, like what their personality is. So like I don't feel like that's really cheating at all. It's just kind of using what's around you to to create your story, to create that world that you're trying to deliver to people and trying to put them
thank you, man.
in.
Yeah, I mean, I think it will. I think it also will help, build stronger characters because, like you said, you know these people. You know what I'm saying? You know these
Mhm.
characters, so you tend to have more of an in-depth analysis in how you're going to basically build them up. So I think that's a great idea, and I don't know if I've been doing it subconsciously, but I'm actually going to try to put more effort into doing that, paying attention to that. I think that's really interesting.
Mhm.
Well, like the writer of Bakuman said, a lot of the characters in Bakuman were based around real life people and had real life attributes to the people he knew.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's the thing too that I noticed what leads to good character design is not profiling them by type, because I think I've said it before in a previous podcast, like people are very unpredictable. Like just because I'm dressed like all thuggish, quote unquote, doesn't mean I'm gonna act like some rapper or whatever. They probably dress like that because they're self-conscious. They don't want people to know their real selves, and that's how people are like, and that's how I think characters should be like as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like something that you brought up on another podcast before about just your character having layers. I feel like like just kind of grabbing like for me like I kind of just grab just different things that life experiences and think people that I've met from just overall different situations to develop different characters. So like 'cause that way that person has depth. They're just not like you said, Warren. They're not in just one set category. Oh, this person's gonna be angry all the time, or this person's gonna be a gangster or a thug, or this person's gonna be shy all the time. By using like experiences that you met in your life, your friends. No, none of our friends are angry all the time. Like so I think that by a person like making sure that they're a little bit more human-like by adding layers of depth to them, it adds to their character development. It makes them seem more real, even though they're in a fictional setting.
Yo,
Yeah.
Danielle, do you have anything to add, yo?
Yeah, how I go about my character development and for I guess creating a character, I have an approach where I just not have a creative mindset. I just have a mindset of, oh, I'm going to discover this character. So it changes how I like the energy about it. You know how, I don't know, like a builder, like, oh, I want this or I want that. and they've added like.
So you basically kind of figure out this. You go through this kind of discovery system where you don't have a planned or set idea for your character. You just kind of let it flow as you're creating it.
Yeah, I always found that natural. I can have the energy as just natural. It's not fake. It's very real. Um, so that always helped me into just having everything done while I just, it's just, I don't have to create. It's so hard to create. It takes time and energy and all that stuff. I just don't deal with that. So that process is very easy for me. Um, like how I let them develop. It's just very random. It just flows. Like I really don't have a set anything. Um, yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's everybody has their own process, and like for some people who are sculptors and stuff like that, I find that a lot. Like any of my friends who've done sculpting, they actually just start making shapes, and then whatever starts to develop from the shape is where the piece tends to go. So that's a pretty common practice. I've never thought about it, like drawing, because I always have some idea in my head of kind of what I want to put down.
Right.
When I was developing the characters for Duelist, I wanted to have these 3 different archetypes that I think played a little bit a part of who I am as an individual. And I wanted to have a character that was quiet and kind of reserved, but someone who's observant, an individual who is just solely driven within one purpose, and another person who just at times, when should take things seriously, doesn't, and is just a very playful attitude and just kind of really laid back in all situations, but behind the scenes is a bright individual, and it's kind of covered by his goofiness. And I think when I'm developing characters, a lot of the time I actually take from my own experiences and I take from my own personality traits and hope that maybe that can connect with somebody else. So.
Well, with the sort of having that sort of method when it comes to drawing, um, I used to not really. I used to struggle with just staying how I like to approach things, which is very flowy. Um, 'Cause like when I have a standard, when I want to draw a picture of whatever I want, like my own standard, um, it would just it would make me ignore all the so-called mistakes. Like I'm want to draw a turtle, but this mistake looks like a really cool cat, and I just erase that mistake and just like focus on what I want and just what I want. And so I just erased a really cool character. So it's like I lose like a really cool character, and plus I'm stressed out on trying to just do what I want, and then I never really get to finish what I actually want to do because I'm so stressed out and tired. Like I want everything perfect, um, and all that stuff. So I just really just cut back and just like just went with that like very flowy approach. Either way, it made me happy. Like I have a really cool quote unquote mistake character, and I still have that original idea, but I just have a lot of energy saved up because I'm not trying to force that idea to come out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I see that, and I mean it works for you. So, I mean,
Yeah,
if it works, then it works for you.
I was gonna say that it is pretty interesting to read a story with characters created like that because it's the level of randomness is so insane. Just making things out of the fly or just letting things organically go. Those just make a fun story.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and that's how I like my first comic that I worked on when I was like younger. Like it was the longest comic I ever did because I'm pretty lazy nowadays. But it was just like that. Like I didn't sketch. I had my Walmart pencils. I
Hey,
didn't want
the
to ink
shovel.
it. I mean,
Do
it
you
was fun.
do you have this story online somewhere that
But I
we
say
can
that.
see?
No, never heard of
Um,
this.
I know.
it's fun. I have like
Oh,
some pictures of it. Um,
so whatever.
yeah.
Keeping that jewel away from us, that Dragon Ball.
Yo, Jay, do you have anything to add about character creation, seeing that you have this awesome infinite story?
Check out the Kickstarter.
What I've actually noticed when I've done creation of characters, it's personalities that one I like and I'm a fan of, and then two ones that I've never encountered because I feel like I wanted to present myself with something that isn't broke, so I won't fix it, but also something that would challenge me because I'm journeying into the unknown. Uh, a lot of my favorite characters all revolve around confident characters. So even with the main protagonist of Infinite, he's not a confident character. It's kind of a clash of my own personality. I am a very humble person, but I can be outspoken. But I favor confident people. So it was just really a mesh that I wanted to do. But what it's come down to is that if I can write a backstory about a character, that's when I'll actually use them. I feel like that's a better thing for me is when I actually can do that. And we just lost Michael. Okay, there he is. But that's really one of the things is that even if I create a backstory, kind of piggybacking off of what Joshua was saying earlier, if I can create a backstory for a character and have it be a solid one, then I know I can use that character because I can use that backstory to give them depth, the different layers of their personality, and then I can use it as my reference tool for that character to use through the story as how they would react, what they would because of what they've gone through that I've written for them. So that's not only my thing is if I write a character, I'm like, oh, this character is really cool, but can I write a backstory for them? Because that's where I get my depth from. So that's my process.
Nice. I actually like that's like one thing I struggle with is like I'm not gonna sit there and like write out like this person's like entire like I won't say history. I'm not saying like that's like what you're doing, but like the whole backstory. Like I definitely like feel you as far as like if that's something that like you have problems or like struggle with as well, because like that level of detail. Like a lot of times like I'm one where like, I get so excited about like the drawing process. Like I just want to get to like creating the character, what he looks like, what he wears, or whatever. That like sometimes like I put the story to the back burner, and like I suffer for that because then later I'm like over here trying to create, think of this and think of that. So like with the story I'm doing now, like I think that it's like so important that like what Joshua said is that giving that character somewhat of a background, that way you kind of know where he comes from, because then like it adds to your story, and they're just not like this random person going through this random situation. There's like a little build up behind it. So.
Yo, Dorothy, do you have anything to add to this?
Okay. I can say something, but that'll be kind of from my own personal opinion. So.
And that's what we're here.
Yeah.
So the way I go about doing a character development. Oh my gosh. My bad. The way I go do character development, I pick a random character, like something I like in general, or something I hate, and where do I go from it? I just see it in my head sometimes.
Tell me something that you hate that you actually converted to a character. What's that process like?
That process is like.
Make a broccoli character. Not a huge fan of broccoli.
Yeah, that process is like. Oh, wow! I see it into an anime now. Cause I'm thinking of a character right now.
How did he? Okay, you have a character, a guy character that's basically a like dressed up like a reindeer and whatnot. He has a pretty interesting backstory. How did you create that character? Where did that character came from?
Okay, I get you, Tony. All right, so when I thought of that character, which I'm gonna show right now. Why are there so many layers?
What?
Rudolph, right? So there's two things about my story. I just like Christmas a lot for reasons. I had a horrible childhood with Christmas. And I thought about all of the Christmas specials that I used to watch on TV. when I gone through it, I was like, you know what, this would be an awesome idea to make all the characters from all the Christmas stories that was actually there. What if they had their own, well, different personalities? I'm not entirely sure. I don't know what to do. I'm sorry.
Hey, dude,
I
could you say that your characters are actually organic, that you make up their personality as you go, as you create them, and they go along in the story?
Yeah, I guess you could say that. Like they're organic, as in like you have the basic. Say you have Rudolph, right? And then you already know his backstory. But what's so different about my Rudolph? Well, he's a bad guy in this one.
Okay.
I take whatever I see and make it the opposite. That's how I do character development.
Yo, Shingo, do you have anything to add about character development?
I've got a couple things. So my character development process is split into two stages. I do this first stage where I actually do sort of like a matchmaking type of deal where I come up with several themes that I really like and want to explore, and I come up with several different characters that I want to explore just off the top of my head, and then I do like a matchmaking process to see which story fits with which character, and I make that character the main character. And then when I create any other character, I think about how does a particular character react to that first character I made and make a chemistry, and then that's usually my process.
Okay, so then your characters build off of each other. So there's like this,
yeah, it's like a propagating effect.
Yeah, and there's this. It also creates a symbiosis between them too,
Right.
because they're coming from each other. You know what I mean? So they're naturally just gonna work with each other without you even having to put so much work into it.
Yep. So if you can get just one key character, usually the main character, that's what people like doing. That's what I like doing. Getting the main character to fit with the theme that I really like, then everything kind of just naturally cascades off of that.
Okay, so I'm gonna kind of switch the subject up a little bit and flip it. It's still gonna be about character development, but what do you guys think is one of the most important things your character should have? Now, the reason why I say it's your character is because I, firmly believe that all the characters, should be different and they appeal to different parts of us. So there's no right answer to this. So I just kind of want to know what each of you guys feels like is the most important part of your character that you're developing or that you want to develop in the future. I'm going to throw this at Cameron to start off.
Repeat that question one more time?
So what do you think is the most important thing that your character should have?
Alright, most important thing that my character should have in design or like just in their personality?
I mean, it could be either or. It could be personality, it could be within design. What do you feel like your character, for you feel like, man, this is a must-have for my character in Beast, or Cyclic Samurai, or...
I think when I tackle that particularly, it kind of goes in again with what Amit said, like how are they interacting? If I create this character, I'm like, well, first obviously I'm like, what is the point of him? Like, who is this guy? And what is his purpose in my story? And then from there, I'm like, all right, if I have a certain purpose for him, or he's gonna be like doing this or doing that, I'll figure out from there, like, okay, I want him to definitely have this aspect of his personality, or I want him to definitely have this, so that it all makes sense. And for example, like when I created the main character of my story, I definitely wanted to have him having a feeling of being like kind of like lost, or kind of just going through the motions, because just based off of the backstory of what he's going through at that time, or his mind frame is at that time, I want him to have that because that goes along with his backstory, what he's going through. And even in even in his design and his demeanor, it's a little bit more lax and lackadaisical because of the fact that he is a little lost. At the beginning of the story, it doesn't really have much of direction. So again, I think it just goes into like whatever that character is, whatever his purpose is in your story. From there, then you can create these like essential parts of their personality to go, so that way your story all makes sense and all of it flows.
Okay. Shingu, what about you?
You know, I was just going to ask if I could chime in because I went last time. But, okay. For me, personally, the most important thing to creating any type of character is to create a character, and this is kind of like the eternal struggle I always face when I'm creating characters, but to create a character that is definitely a moral gray zone, but still likable. So even though they do things that people can't agree with, people will still like them.
Mm.
Yeah, I like to see that in characters. To be honest, I rather enjoy a character that is not a Boy Scout, because the world, for me at least, doesn't operate that way. Difficult decisions need to be made. So sometimes it might not be the decision that everybody agrees with, but some people can, and they can understand why the character did that. So I like that, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think you can see a really good character like that in House of Cards, if you've seen that or not. Kevin Spacey's character.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like, that's the kind of
That's a really
situation.
good show.
I mean, he's a crook. He's kind of snaked his way through, but you kind of root for him. You know what I mean? He puts the
exactly.
girl in front of the tracks, like, yeah.
It's not even like he's like a good guy kind of trying to do the right thing. It's that he's not doing the right thing, and yet you're like, oh, I really want him to do that. But
I think a good character, what a character needs is to have some kind of emotional.
No. What does your character need, Tony? Because I want to talk about your character development, not just that. Because when you say what a character, Tony D's character. What is Tony's D character?
Yeah, what does the girl with the metal arm need?
Yeah.
Okay.
What can't she live without?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought what? Oh, okay, I misunderstood the question. Well, I was gonna say that my
Spoilers.
characters need to actually make a emotional bond with the audience or with the reader. Like if I make a character that you need to hate, you need to feel like you hate that character. If you think the character needs love, you need to know that they need love and you need to give them love. I think that's what my characters, what I put most effort in my characters is to actually give that kind of emotion or that kind of attachment. Like I don't really believe in that gray zone or like the hero archetypes and whatnot. I believe that a certain situation, a certain character needs to make you feel something, so you'll be attached and actually keep on reading. Even if you hate the character, you keep on reading because you hate the character. You want the character to get screwed or whatnot. That's what I think. It may not be the right answer or whatnot, but.
I mean, like I said, there's no right or wrong answer. It's based on what you feel for your character. Like, the reason why I said that is because I don't want to impose my idea on what makes a good character. Because you look at someone like Superman, and people love Superman. I personally am not a huge fan. At least of early Superman. Maybe New 52 is different, or whatever else. But these earlier versions of him, as this Boy Scout, as whatever, is not one of my favorite, kind of archetypes.
Son. I'm right here, bro.
But but what I'm just saying, but
I don't like him. He sucks.
But people still like Superman, so I can't say Superman is a bad character. He's just not a character for me. But I feel like I know why people like Superman. You know what I'm saying, and things that he can do. But for me, I am a fan of a character who has a moral gray zone. Jay, let's throw it at you, Jay. What does KO? What did you feel like KO needed, when you were writing Infinite, that he can't live without? Mr. Hero.
A purpose.
A purpose.
I feel like every character that I'm ever going to develop is going to have a purpose. And the reason why I feel like if they have a purpose, they're going to have their own personal convictions. I feel like if I give a character a real life purpose, that's going to give them life to me, because at that point, any character that comes across their path, if their purpose align, then they're allies, they're friends, they're people that will actually meet in passing and be good. If they don't, it's going to be a confrontation. Just like in normal life, people have different purposes and values. That's something I'm very big on in life, is purpose and values. So if my characters have certain values in place that I've put there, then I know for a fact there's going to be organic, real-life situations that's going to happen between them and other characters because of the simple fact that they have different values, and they're going to hold on to those values. There are many people in certain worlds, including and especially our real world, that don't have values, that don't know what they are, and don't even care to hold on to them. So if my characters had to have anything like KO does, it's his values, his family, his way of thinking, his way of dreaming, his thing. That's him. That's what makes him him.
Nice. Hey, can I just ask like a quick question? Again, like backstory and like this whole like character development is something that I sometimes struggle with and I'm trying to get better at. So like if I can just like just ask like, just a quick question, not to like anybody to fanboy or whatever, real quick. Is there any like one single character you guys feel is like I wouldn't say perfect, but really like I'm gonna say that a character that you guys connect to.
Ooh.
Like personally, like one character that you guys really connect to, not like oh this person's cool, but like somebody that really gets to you guys, and why?
Like should we finish the first go round of the first topic first?
I know I'm asking it based off of what Jay was saying. I'm not trying to like it's not gonna whatever go off for like forever, but I'm just like asking based off of what Jay or Jay what everybody's been saying, just for like an example, like because. You guys feel like somebody that really like just a one character that you guys feel like gets to you guys.
For me, it's definitely Itachi from Naruto.
Okay.
And the reason why is just because of kind of like the weight that his decisions hold and how he makes those decisions and what his rationale is. Just seeing his mind whirl through that as the story unfolds is pretty intense for me.
Yo, mine is the main guy from Full Metal Alchemist. The way that he's so full with regret about what he did to his brother and his actions to resolve that regret, or how he personally handled that regret. That's mine.
For me, it's Spider-Man, because Spider-Man's the kind of character who always seems like this happy-go-lucky character. He's always cracking wise with the villains, but he deals with heavier topics, and he deals with a lot of darker storylines, I think. And he still has this happy attitude towards life, even when bad things happen.
Which Spider-Man are you talking about? The white, the Chinese, or the
Wait, there's a Chinese one?
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. There's a Chinese Spider-Man? Oh wow.
I would say like Peter Parker Spider-Man for me.
Okay. Warren?
I guess a good example. I haven't read in a while, but I would say Senna from Ice Shield 21 for the fact that even though people tell him he may have talent for something or whatnot, still feels self-conscious and still feels like sometimes there are things that they can't do that may seem well within their abilities. That's what really appealed to me about the character.
Nice. Jay, you have one?
Yes, I would say it's not really particularly a character. I just notice whenever I'm watching or reading something, the person that the leader of a story or the leader in a certain group is what I end up always attached to, especially if there's somebody that's selfless. So that's been my biggest thing. Like in Naruto, it'd be the Hokage. My favorite one would be Minato, but just how the Hokage didn't care about anything else but themselves. Luffy, he didn't care that he was a villain. He's like, don't touch my friends. Superman, he doesn't care that he's an alien from another planet. He wants to take care of this planet. Batman, he's taking care of people that don't particularly like him. They don't care for him. Optimus Prime cared nothing but about the human safety instead of his own people. It's always been those characters that have been at the forefront that have been like, I'm the leader to lead by example, but I'm also the one that truly believes in helping others. So those are some of the people, to name a few, that I've grown attached to that really connect with me.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Naruto. I know some people are probably trying to go around that, but I think the archetypes that I'm drawn to the most are characters that are developed through struggle and hardship. And I feel like a lot of that actually builds character, and it's great to build a character on, because they automatically start with something that they kind of have to persevere through. And the story of Naruto being this person who was alone, essentially hated by everybody, but still was selfless enough to say, I'm going to rise to the position to protect everybody and to also be recognized by everybody. But, you know, it wasn't like he had this amazing talent and was outcast. It wasn't like he, you know, had this, you know, these things that were really behind him, pushing him like everybody else. So he had to work twice as hard to be recognized, to be respected, to go from everybody's feared enemy in his own hometown to the hometown hero, you know, based on the negative thing that was in him. So, you know, I like characters that have to train and have to struggle, and Killua is another character that I like who spent most of his earlier years training and trying to understand human emotion outside of his family, and trying to understand, you know, how the world actually works and stuff like that. So his hardship was a little bit different. He was trained and was talented, but, you know, he was also lonely and also, you know, by himself and having to understand, like starting automatically with that struggle. So, you know, those are things that I'm really drawn to in my characters.
I watch a lot of anime. I really can't remember, but the one that comes to mind is Bash the Stampede from Trigun. What I really like about this character, like he is selfless, but at the same time, his selflessness can cost more lives than the lives he's trying to save. Like, many scenarios in that show is like a robber trying to, like, I guess, yeah, blow up a bank and get the money. Like, and then there's the people in there like that, like the robber's trying to fight and kill the clerk or something like that. Like Bash, he wants to save them both. He doesn't want he'll he doesn't want anybody like hurting each other and stuff like that. Sometimes he'll even like crack jokes in the midst of the issues like that's happening at the moment. Like the robber is a nice guy, but let's say his family has a disease, or daughter, and then he's very distraught about that. So like they have like reasons, and then like the clerk has a family too, and so he is like in the middle like of that, and he wants to save them both, and then it's just very unpredictable. I don't know if you know what I'm saying. Um, I find that really cool to be that way, even though it can make the situation worse, and it often does in the show. But it just forces me to see his heart and stuff like that. And he's been through a lot. He has no reason. He's not even human. Like, he lives forever. Like, he has no reason to do the things he does and to struggle how he does, but he just wants to, because it's just like a reflex. Like, you can't see like people getting hurt, and it's just his heart kills him. Like, his heart never gives him justice in the show. It just gives him so much pain. I teared up at a really tough moment at the end. I know at the end of the series, it was hard. Like, he cares so much, but by him caring, it gave him all those crazy scars on his body. It let innocent people die, even though the bad guy gets away sometimes, and then like it kills the bad guy, and then the good people get away. It's so hard. Like, this guy never wins, but he's so caring.
Yo, Dorothy, do you have something?
So,
Yes, the only person I could think of right now, since you guys have so many emotional ones, I have a funny one. Patty and Stalking. Dear God.
It's a
They are
Why?
the hilarious people I have ever met.
They really
But you know
is.
why? It's because even after a little bit, they have what I like to call emotions. And I put a lot of emotions into my characters. So that's pretty much it. Patty and Stalking.
What was the original topic that we were in?
The original topic was what do your characters need? Like, what can they not live without? And yeah, that was the original one. I didn't actually get a chance to talk about that or to go about that. Did anybody else have anything that they wanted to say on that?
One thing I want to say, I want my characters to have attributes like a sponge in the way of absorbing elements around them. Like, for example, how, from two examples, freaking Walter White from Breaking Bad and Jax Teller from Sons of Anarchy, they start off as like this, they have like innocent motives, wanting to change stuff for the greater good, until elements of the world go in and their thinking starts to change, and then throughout the series they change to become a different character. They make choices that are unexpected to the audience, and it's constantly a thrill ride with their emotions. So that's why I like to do in all my characters whenever I can.
And mine, I would like my characters to like be themselves no matter what. My characters like Black Zone. They're not like Gray Zone. They're very controversial. So I just want my characters to just be themselves no matter what, and just know that it's okay, sort of thing.
That's
I
all.
think I think for me, my characters, I need to have a character that has to like hustle. Like I need a character that has to hustle, has to struggle, like, and not like a plot, like there's some plot twist and the person has to work through it. Like my character was born with no fucking leg, and had to learn how to like kind of walk before he can even, like when everybody else is running. You know what I mean? And that character has to work twice as hard to get to the level that everybody else is at, but perseveres and says, not only am I going to work twice as hard, but I'm going to push it to the limit because I want to be the best. I want to, and not just be the best, but be my best, and push myself. So, and in every character that I've ever written or any story that I've done, that's been something that's underlined in every single character that I've done is that what they have at that moment is not enough, and they want more. They want the best version of themselves they can possibly have. I can't create a character that doesn't have that. Even some of my villains are like that.
Yo, Jay, were you gonna say something?
I honestly forgot, but um, let me see. Oh, speaking of characters in general, I don't know how many people have seen this movie or not, but a very good version of a protagonist that has to go through a story and has to deal with realistic stuff. John McClane from Die Hard. He is the guy. He's the go-to guy, but he goes through so much crap that entire movie that he comes out beaten down, broken and bruising, and he loses something, but he still manages to win. And it's basically I cherish a lot more stories when the protagonist has to go through something, but the villain gets to succeed at his plan, and then you have to try to find a way to defeat the villain or defeat the obstacle, the antagonistic force in front of you. Is that when the plan is actually succeeded, there's no sense in making a villain and having a goal and then not having them succeed that goal, because then that's a pointless character. You Rock Lee's your villain. So that was
All
just
right,
something.
so
That was just something pretty cool that I wanted to put out there. Is that if you ever get a chance to look at that, he goes through heck and high water to get to the end of the movie, but he goes through it and he loses something, whether it's a blood or he gets beaten up real bad, a broken rib. He comes through a lot. He goes through a lot, and I feel like that's better for me than watching somebody power up, go through everything, and become victorious at the end of the day.
you mean kind of like Superman, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, because he actually has lost something. He lost his ability to be super by actually accidentally causing a supernova from his laser beam that made him vulnerable as a human for 24 hours.
Oh yeah, I saw that. They gave Superman another power.
Yeah,
I did see
but
that.
now it
And
makes him vulnerable. So now he's not Superman, the guys that you
yeah,
can hate.
which is great because it does give him that vulnerability. But in the new 52, they've actually developed him as well. Like if he can be hurt physically. Like
Right.
he can't take a rocket launcher anymore. Back in the day, he could fight off an army and take a rocket launcher and move the planet. You know what I'm saying? But
Right,
now
and
they've rewritten him so that he can take enough physical damage. And
but
the
he's
only
not
way,
able. But he wasn't able to, as a growing up, he wasn't able to take on one of the legendary Sanin because he has the most powerful beast trapped in his stomach either as a bailout plan.
yeah, but but at least when his
It's
character, when
Naruto.
that character, at least when
Naruto.
Naruto's character started, he automatically started with a backfire to his power. So regardless of like him
So when
having
he produced 1,000
and
shuttle
everything else
clones
like that, no, but
in
I'm
his
just
first
saying
try,
like, but if
ooh,
but if that
Yo,
power,
I think we should just skip to the next.
if that power
I like this.
was let loose, he could destroy a whole city. You know what I'm saying?
Ooh,
That's
both
all I'm
of them
saying.
could.
ooh,
That's
get
all,
some,
that's all I'm
Jay.
saying.
What you gonna do,
But
Jay?
but no, that lead Jay, what you just said leads me into the next portion of this
I
thing.
know. I think Justin wanted to say something. Joshua.
Just
Yeah,
Joshua.
yeah. I wanted to say something that's really important. I think to my character development when I'm writing characters is their relationships and how that extends to them, because the people around you affect who you are. Kind of piggybacking off of what someone said about Breaking Bad, and Warren said about Breaking Bad. The environment they're in really changes you, and I think that goes double for the people around them. And I think, like when I write characters, when I come up with ideas for stories, if they're alone, they're usually these dark characters, or they're very introverted. But when they're with people, there's a whole plethora of different people they can be just because of all the people they're surrounded by. And the community is a huge, I think, important aspect to character development for me.
Community. Awesome.
That was pretty dope.
That
That was
was
step
deep, yo.
apart,
Um but yeah, that brings me to the next topic, and I think we might kind of use this to close out. I'm going to combine these two questions so it doesn't run too long. But so not just your main character, what does how do you go about developing the antagonist? So your villain, and also how do you go about developing, the one or two side characters or tertiary characters that you have connected to the story? And I'm going to throw this at Warren to start out.
man. Oh man.
All right, so throw me part two of that question.
Part two is basically side characters. So how do you develop your villains? How do you develop like the sister to your main character or the friend to your main character? That quote unquote community.
Okay. Well, villains, it kind of came at a crossroads, and if I go on too long, someone please stop me. I've been at this thing where giving a villain too much depth may make it too complicated for the reader, or just go for a balls out normal 90s villain and whatnot, and which one would be better. But me personally, I like a villain whose root of their evil is something that can be among a relatable belief, like, I want to change the world. My methods may be different from yours, but c'est la vie, right? So, that's the kind of villains I like. I like villains who have like you have a reason to be evil. You didn't wake up one morning and your eggs were freaking over fried, and you're like, I'm gonna destroy the world because they messed up my eggs or something. As for side characters, I kind of want to direct the main character, like their mentality in a certain path for some story. So I'm be like, okay, for example, in Dead Star, since your mother's dead, let me throw in two girls to see how that dynamic would be, and just play around. It's usually like Danae said. I randomize it and see how that's going to play out. Sometimes that makes it more entertaining to draw and write.
Yo, the way I create my characters, the main and antagonist, is that I enjoy making the world. I enjoy making casino, poor cities, why they're poor. I like going in detail in world building. And basically what I do is I create the world, and then I place my main character in that world and what they're gonna be doing in that world. So they have a set role in that world. And the same thing goes with the antagonist. Like if the city is poor, I'm gonna make the antagonist uh, start up a revolution to overthrow the people in power because the people in power obviously don't care about the poor people, and that's basically where everything comes from, the world itself, where and the world kind of give birth to these characters. Yeah, that's how I create my characters.
Okay, I like that. So you create this environment, and then you allow the characters to stem from this environment. It sounds cool. Jay, Mr. Hero,
Mr. One Hero.
Mr. One Hero. I'm sorry.
Yep, just me. Oh man, developing a villain. Um, I've always looked at it as in a villain being a co-antagonist in certain stories. So it's like a villain can go either way, and a lot of people don't even realize that certain stories don't require an actual physical person being the villain or the antagonist. It could be the dog, it could be the puppy that ended up falling into the ocean and trying to swim his way back. Now the ocean is its villain, its antagonist, which can be taken in multiple ways. So it's really about finding a good way to present a interesting twist or challenge to whatever your protagonist is going to be. For Infinite, it was trying to find a way to make a multiple antagonist from three different ways. So it was a physical, it was a massive physical, and then it was more of a internal, because it can be an internal struggle. That can be one of your worst villains is going against yourself. Uh, that's really a tough question for me to answer because there's so many different ways it can be answered.
I mean, honestly, man, that's actually a really good topic to bring up as far as like the villain not having to be an actual person. You know, I hadn't even thought of that or even conceptualize
Yeah, it could be time.
it just could be it's just a problem. You know what I'm saying? The antagonist, the thing that drives the story, doesn't have to be a person, a group, or a coalition. It could just be a simple problem, like stopping a volcano from the end of the world or something like that. Like, no, I really like that. That's awesome, and I hope that inspires some people. Yeah.
Um,
You're
uh,
welcome.
like my villain.
Shut up, Cameron.
Okay.
Go ahead, Danae.
It could be Joshua just being plain white. That's an antagonistic force. Because he's
Exactly. You guys get it.
You know what I'm saying? White people were antagonists for 400 years.
Like my villain in my story. He is actually like related to, well, not related. Well, he's a very important person to my main character. But he's not really a villain. He's just a product of his upbringing. So it's interesting that a lot of my story's problems it stemmed from him. And so like yeah, and he doesn't really want to do these things, but that is causing a problem or everything. But it still means a lot to him that he sort of gets this revenge. But yeah, it's just yeah.
So you're saying your character is a product of his environment as well. So like the character that would quote unquote be your villain is kind of a product of what's happening around them. So he's not truly a villain. He's just kind of doing what he feels like is natural to the story, even though it's not kind of who he is essentially.
Right. It's very.
Okay.
it's all his what sort of just made him in position as a problem is his intense trauma that he was exposed to when he was like 3 or 4. So he's not really a villain.
I was gonna say, for me, kind of piggybacking off of what Jay said, when I build a villain, I try to make it I try to build him as an antithesis, as a roadblock to my main character, because that's really his ultimate goal. But I think to do that, I gotta make him an exact opposite, if that makes sense. They say there's a rule somewhere. I think it was Jeff Johns who said it. That's where I heard it anyway. For a character, you can have 2 villains. You can have the exact opposite, and you can have someone who's very similar to him. Giving the example of, like, you have the Flash. His arch enemy would be Captain Cold, because the Flash, who's this super fast character, his arch enemy Captain Cold is the man who masters Absolute Zero, and at Absolute Zero is where everything freezes. And the other type of villain, the one who's similar to him, would be, I guess, Reverse Flash, who's very similar to Flash, but is so evil relative to him. And for me, when I write a villain, I try to build it around that concept of you have similar characters and you have exact opposites, and then try to build off of that idea, expound upon the basic concept of it. Because it's not just as simple as creating an exact opposite. There's more to it than that. But I think that you have a good starting point when you can find the exact opposite character to what your hero is.
That's dope. I like that.
Yeah, I find that interesting too. I personally have to have, well, Tony, I'll let somebody else go. I'll go last this time.
Yo, Ahmed, you have something to say, man?
Yeah, I got something. So kind of also to piggyback off of what Joshua said, I take a similar approach, but it's also a little bit different, and I'm going to explain. Going back to how I create characters, where I come up with a bunch of themes and a bunch of characters, and I fit the theme to the character. Usually that is my main character, and what I do at that point is I try to define my main character as accurately as possible. Once I do that, I actually do this process where I kind of like split the character in half, and I take half of the traits, put it aside, and then half the other traits, put it aside, and then what results is the main character and the main villain from the culmination of those 2 sets. So essentially what I do is I create one character and then split it into 2 characters, and they're automatically going to be pitted against each other.
No, that's a really cool exercise, man. A good practice to doing that, systematically making something. That's awesome.
Yo, I have to admit, that sounds difficult as all heck, yo.
It sounds difficult, but if you do it a couple times, it just becomes, second nature.
I doubt it.
I believe in you, Tony.
Yeah, I mean, I think some of the hardest things yield the best results, so.
Yo, Dorothy, do you have something to add to this conversation?
I guess I could say, well, when it comes to character development, it would be...
No. The question, I believe, is how you create your main character and your main antagonist in
your
story.
Your villain and some of your side characters.
It would have to follow through. As in, like, you have... Oh my... Now, all time.
Yo, no, I don't got time for the road stuff, man.
Yo, are you living in the farm? Is that
Everybody got time for the road stuff, seriously. Time is money.
Time is money. Anyway,
You start mentioning the man and shush it.
What's going on?
Who's next, yo? Who hasn't spoken? No, who's next? Who hasn't spoken? We're just gonna skip.
I think everybody's had a chance to talk. We're gonna have to jump back to Dorothy though at some point. I do want to hear kind of how she decided to make everybody's loving hero Santa into a villain. I think that would be very, very interesting.
he's freaking dead, for crying out loud!
Wait, what happened?
He's freaking dead. Santa Claus is dead. He got murdered, okay?
Oh, I didn't hear that part of the story, man.
Yeah.
So how do you develop your villains while we got you right now and there's no animals in the background?
Okay. Well, how do I go with a villain? Let's see. I put a lot of blood into it. A lot of blood. More blood. And then I would just think of why would there be a lot of blood? Why would this villain want to kill Santa? And it hit me like, okay, maybe he wants to be the next Santa and gain all his power.
So basically, you have a picture or scene in your head, and you just make up everything to fit in that scene. You just everything's spin off from that scene.
Mhm.
Okay, that's interesting. Yo, I think this is a good time to end the podcast.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. This is a good time to end the podcast. And once again, you just attended podcast 0, episode 4, and we're going to close out the same way we started. Cameron?
Hello, everybody. Once again, my name is Cameron Knight. Currently working on my first webcomic, manga, whatever, called Base. And to stay updated on that, you guys can follow me on Instagram at C9Comics.
Well, this is been the name on this. You can look up my comic on Capastic. I'm also on Facebook too. Nice to meet you.
Josh?
My name is Joshua. I'm an amateur photographer and an amateur writer, and you can look me up on Instagram at Joshua, JOSHWUAH.
Wow, he spelled it and everything. Wow.
Because it's confusing to spell.
It's hard to pronounce, apparently, too.
Dory?
Really? Okay. So you can find me at Kapagami at deviantart.com. Wow, that was so backwards. You know what? I can't talk right now. I'm sorry. Just look at the screen.
There you go.
Mr. Hero?
Well, thanks for joining in, guys. I do appreciate you guys coming again, and minus the snafu. You can find me or any work that I have or that my team produces at www.infinitethejourney.com. Thank you again.
Hey.
Kickstarter.
Hey, Jay, don't you have a Kickstarter on right now?
Sure do. What is it?
Yeah,
You can look it up on Kickstarter. It's Infinite the Journey Road to Volume 1 if you look it up on Kickstarter. As well, that actually is posted on the website, so if you did go to the website and follow the website, it would show you at the bottom as well that it's there. Thank you.
Oh, wow, this is my turn.
You over here waiting?
Yo, my name is Antonio. You could find my artwork. Just Google Senor Antonio, all one word, and that's pretty much it. For right now, I have nothing to show you guys specifically, but I'm working on this awesome, fun story that sooner or later you guys will get to see it, and can't wait till that happens.
All right, guys. Guess it's me signing off. You can read the bargain bin titled Dead Star on Tapastic, or you can follow me on, once again, at the Road to PDS on Facebook. And I'll pass it off to Amit.
And I am Shingu Amito. You can find me anywhere and everywhere on the web, and that's it. Peace.
Lastly, again, my name is Mike Tony. I was your host for this evening. You can find me on Instagram, Mike Tony Design, MikeTony Design. Have a good night, guys.
Yo, thank you for joining us.
Don't lose your way.
Don't lose your
or your mind.